The air in the slumps of Silverlight City was thick with the scent of rust and damp concrete. In a makeshift workshop, Lyra's hands, smudged with oil, moved with practiced ease. She was surrounded by the discarded bones of the city, broken gears, twisted pistons, and splintered conduits. From this scrap, she built a clunky, multi-limbed automaton. Its core, a simple, unpolished chip. She activated it with a click, and its single lens eye flickered to life. Lyra walked out of the gloom. She saw a young, visually impaired child navigating the treacherous streets without a stick. She handed the automaton to the child. It gently took his hand with its mechanical fingers, began to guide him. Its gait adapted to the child's, navigating the crowded streets with a patient, rhythmic hum. In a forgotten warehouse, Lyra introduced her next creation to a crowd of fellow residents, a teacher automaton. It was a patchwork of scrap metal, but its posture was authoritative and kind. It was designed to teach the children of the slumps, all with wide, hopeful eyes. It began to speak with a simple, synthesized voice. This automaton didn't just teach reading and writing. The automaton expertly demonstrated first aid, using torn fabric and scavenged metal to show the children how to clean and bandage a wound. It explained the mechanics of the city's underbelly and taught them how to navigate the dangerous sewers to survive. The children listened, absorbing knowledge that the gleaming automatons by Aethel Industries would never offer. The slumps of Cogfall City bake under a merciless sun, a desolate panorama of decay and ruin. A piercing shriek echoes through the wasteland as pipes leading to a major conduit violently ruptures, its failure threatening a complete meltdown of the systems. Steam hisses in parts of the slumps, engulfing the corroded metal in a chaotic torrent of vapor. The scene becomes a maelstrom of swirling vapor, corroded metal, and the relentless sun. Sector Gamma stands as a haunting testament to resilience, its vital hydroponics farm fighting to thrive amid decay. Guided by Lyra's automatons, the children tended these hydroponic farms, expertly rerouting pipes and enriching the soil to improve the yield. Their faces, etched with grime, told a story of hardship. Yet their work in the farms offered a new purpose and a glimmer of hope. They were building a future. The burst steam conduit threatened to flood the hydroponic farms. If destroyed, months of work would be lost, along with every nutritious crop. Hearing the ruptured conduit, chaos erupts as adults scream, their terror painting a stark contrast to the children's eerie calm. Amidst the pandemonium, children remain still, their faces betraying no fear. They discuss the response to impending disaster to their hydroponic farms. Steam billowed from the ruptured conduit, a blinding wall of vapor that drove back the panicked crowd. Those who hesitated were scorched by the heat. Amidst the adults' screams and panic, the children calmly concluded they needed help from the teacher automaton to fix the ruptured conduit. The children sketched plans to fix the rupture, then hurried to their school in the discarded warehouse to consult with the teacher automaton. Fear tightened the children's faces, but determination burned in their eyes as they discussed each proposal. They recommended to reroute the flow using scavenged joints and elbow. They discussed using an old pressure valve found in a pile of junk and suggested installing it nearby to reduce the pressure and make repairs safer. They agreed to patch the rupture using a bent metal plate from a discarded vehicle. The hulking teacher automaton sputtered to life and, joined by its students, marched toward the ruptured conduit, armed with tools and scrap metal for the repairs. With a mechanical groan, it announces to the panicking adults. Emergency Protocol 7 is initiated. Containment measures is in progress. Kindly vacate the area. The teacher automaton and its young crew got to work. They decided to first reduce the pressure, then sealed the rupture with a plate of scrap metal. The automaton lumbered forward. With its crew of students, it installed a pressure valve to reduce the pressure and make the repairs safer. Near the ruptured conduit, the children worked with the practiced precision of master engineers, a skill set learned from their teacher automaton. With practiced precision, they begin their work. Salvaged materials, once discarded junk, were now the raw parts for the repair. A bent metal plate would become a patch, and wires would become clamps. Armed with salvage scrap and their small toolkits, the children hauled their findings toward the breach, their determined footsteps echoing on the floor. A child knelt, her fingers quickly scooping thick mud from the ground. It would be used as a sealant to patch the ruptured conduit. With practiced ease, they also grind rock into a fine powder for strength. The children acquired rendered grease from discarded machines and automatons. They carefully salvage the old parts, heat them over a fire, and collect the melted grease as it dripped. They mix crushed rock with rendered grease, creating a thick, gritty paste to be used as a sealant for the repair. Each swirl of the mixture is a step closer to saving their home and their hydroponic farm. The thick paste, a makeshift solution of rock and grease, was ready. Its gritty texture a testament to their hands-on ingenuity. A mini welding automaton helped the children work, its sparks flying as they battled the hissing steam to seal the makeshift patch. The edges of the patch glisten with paste, a fragile barrier against the oppressive heat and rising tension. Each application is a testament to their determination, a desperate attempt to quell the conduit's angry breath. With a final, desperate push, all the patches are secured throughout the slumps, a fragile victory against the conduit's fury. In the aftermath of repair works by the children, the adults gather, their faces etched with a mix of bewilderment and surprise. The initial fear gives way to a dawning sense of wonder as they comprehend the impossible and the wonderful job done by the children. The people cheered, lifting the children onto their shoulders as they paraded them through the street in celebration of their victory. The hydroponic farm was safe, and the crowd's cheers soon gave way to music and dancing. People rejoiced, celebrating Lyra and the children's victory over the disaster. The wounded conduit breathes its last, the hissing fading into a whisper. Against all odds, the makeshift patch endures, a symbol of resilience forged in desperation. A wide smile spreads across a child's face, his skin and clothes smudged with grease as he proudly holds up his tools. Amidst the ruptured conduit, the teacher automaton stands, a sentinel of cold, gleaming metal. With a series of clicks and whirs, the teacher automaton made its final inspection, checking each joint in the pipework. The automaton's voice, devoid of warmth, declares, "Breach contained, Sector Gamma secured. It is safe to return to your homes." The teacher automaton slowly marched back to the warehouse school, a new, warm feeling spreading through its core processors for the first time. Once dismissed as a burden on the slump's meager resources, the children had finally shown they had safeguarded the hydroponic farms, the very lifeline of their community, and in doing so, they had won the complete respect of grateful people. Their efforts had saved everyone from disaster. The slumps, once shadowed by despair, now glow under the setting sun. A symbol of resilience, the repaired conduit pierces the skyline, casting a long shadow of hope. The warm light paints the landscape, creating a sense of renewed promise. The slumps, bathed in the warm glow, reflect a newfound sense of possibility. Flickering candlelight casts long shadows across the makeshift classroom, illuminating the eager faces of the children. In the dim light, the pages of the worn books come alive, filled with stories and dreams. The teacher automaton returned to its classroom. Its presence was a living proof of the knowledge it had shared with the children to help with the repair. Its metallic eyes gleamed softly, watching over the young minds with unwavering dedication. The soft glow of candlelight and the presence of the automaton create an atmosphere of hope and learning. Under the vast, starlit sky, a child's hopeful gaze pierces the darkness, a beacon of resilience in the slumps. The child's eyes reflect a glimmer of hope, mirroring the distant stars above. In the quiet of the night, the child's small shoulders carry the weight of a future yet unwritten. In the pristine, antiseptic labs of Aethel Industries, the meticulous engineer Kael frowned. His datapad was showing a persistent, unusual network signatures from the slumps, but it was too weak to be a threat, a rhythmic blip that he couldn't identify. Those data points were from Lyra automaton, but for Kael, it was a minor anomaly. He dismissed them as a glitch, yet filed it away for later. A long time ago, younger Lyra and Kael worked together at Aethel Industries. They had perfected a powerful, self-learning chip, but a new directive came down from their superiors. The chip was to be used to power a new line of military automatons, designed for pacification and control in unruly territories. Lyra's protests were met with cold indifference. In a tense confrontation, she confronted her project lead, a stern, emotionless man who told her that technology was for control, not compassion. Lyra walked away, abandoning her life's work. She returned later that night to copy the very blueprint she had designed. Kael, a pure intellectual, watched her go, not with anger, but with a detached observation, silently intrigued. In the main district, the flawless, silver-plated automaton of a high-ranking official in Silverlight City suddenly shuddered. Its movements, once graceful and fluid, became jerky and unrefined. Its light flickered, and it began to copy the clumsy gait of scrap automaton from the slump. It was a terrifying public spectacle. The people had never seen these automaton fall. The polished machine stumbled and fell again and again. The reputation of Aethel Industries, its very foundation, was shattered in a single, humiliating moment. The grand ballroom glitters with crystal chandeliers, their light dancing across the polished chrome of the Silverlight automatons. Aethel's dignitaries, prominent dignitaries, were invited to observe the spectacle of Silverlights. The Silverlight automatons begin their waltz, their movements perfectly synchronized and mesmerizing. Opulence and technological perfection intertwine in a breathtaking display of grace and precision. The grand ballroom falls silent as the music abruptly cuts out, leaving the automatons frozen in a tableau of suspended motion. A synthesized voice echoes, raised above the music, laughter, and dancing automatons. A cold, mathematical truth. The circumference of a circle is pi times the diameter. The automatons shredded their skin, helmets, and clothing, revealing mechanical skulls and bones as they began to dance in a grotesque, jerky parody of life. One automaton, in a macabre mimicry of compassion, seizes a decorative pillow and begins performing CPR on another. The polished joints of the automaton whir in a frantic, unnatural rhythm, a mechanical pulse in the silent chaos. Gasps ripple through the audience as confusion and horror intertwine, creating a symphony of dread. The Silverlights were now broadcasting a class on equations, a lesson from Lyra's teacher automaton deep in the city's slums. The graceful dance of technology descends into a chaotic, mathematical nightmare. Aethel's CEO watches in disbelief, his face contorted with fury as the gala crumbles around him. He slammed his champagne glass onto the table with a roar of pure anger. The crystal shattered, the sound ripping through the ballroom. The CEO lunged to drag the automaton away, but the machine's arm locked. It continued its CPR on a pillow as the horrified crowd gasped. Aethel's machines, once a symbol of prestige, were now broadcasting its humiliation. The news of their collapse would soon be on every screen in Cogfalls. Kael was summoned. He presented his data. The pristine machines of Aethel Industries were mimicking the clumsy flaws of their rudimental cousins in the slums. This was a bombshell for the investors, as this was not a glitch. Lyra's chip was not just self-learning. It could infiltrate Aethel's network through discarded scrap and manipulate their shiny automatons, turning the creations into clumsy versions of her own. Aethel Industries took this as a rebellion brewing. They dispatched the notorious Coglords, a field gang, to retrieve the chips. Their leader, Sienna, was a mercenary who commanded her gang with chilling authority. Her trusted lieutenant, Rook, led the charge. Their shiny attires were stark contrast to the rust and decay of the slumps. Kael accompanied them, a datapad in his hand, observing with intellectual curiosity. His goal was not to capture Lyra, but to understand her creation. Twilight descends upon the slums, casting long shadows across the grimy alleys. The Coglord, figures of menacing authority, silently follows Flinch. The air hangs heavy with the stench of decay, a palpable reminder of desperation. Flinch, taking the Coglords deeper into the labyrinthine alleys of the slumps. As the coglords walked the muddy streets, scanning their surroundings, parents quickly pulled their children into the shadows, their eyes wide with fear. As soon as Flinch turned towards his scrapyard, he is faced by Rook and her gang members. She stands firm, her hand hovering near the energy pistol, her gaze cold and calculating. "Hurry up, we haven't got all day," exclaimed Rook with disgust in her voice. As they walked inside Flinch's scrapyard, Rook's voice cuts through the silence with a chilling threat. "This information better be right, Flinch," she continues, the threat now palpable. "Or your junkyard becomes a memory." Every word hangs heavy in the air, a stark reminder of the stakes in the pursuit of Lyra. Acting on Flinch's tip, the coglords breached a derelict warehouse, their entry marked by a roar of rage and warning. The warehouse doors splinter and crash inward, signaling the coglords' violent entrance. A panorama of decay unfolds within, rusted pipes and broken automatons scattered across the floor. In the heart of the derelict warehouse, Rook's eyes frantically sweep the darkness. Her senses sharpen, detecting a concealed threat lurking in the shadows, her voice filled with skepticism. "This is not a workshop that Aethel Industries should be worried about. No one can make automatons from this." Hiding in the shadows, a figure become visible. A woman, wearing a balaclava. Sienna's gang springs into action. She shouted, "That's Lyra! Bring her to me!" The woman in balaclava struggled to get free, but her efforts were no match to the burly coglord gangsters. Bound and gagged, the woman is left at the mercy of Sienna's gang. Kael was called in to identify Lyra. He advances with measured steps, his senses alert. His gaze intensifies as he begins to recognize the familiar stance of the figure kneeling before Sienna. The way she carries herself, it looks like Lyra, but it has been many years, thought Kael. Kael removed the balaclava, revealing a face beneath that, left him momentarily breathless. It was not Lyra. A stranger's face is revealed, exposing a disturbing deception. Kael turns sharply towards Sienna, his expression hard. He declares with cold certainty, "That's not her. It's a fool in a mask." Sienna's fury intensifies as the deception unfolds. Flinch's information led them straight into a decoy. A furious shout tore from her throat. "Where is that worm? I want to crush him." Trapped in the alley, Flinch freezes, his heart pounding like a drum. His fingers tightened around the bag of coins. He ran, but the gangster's boots were already closing in, a sound that told him he wouldn't escape. In the dim alleyway, Sienna seizes the bag from Flinch, the coins within chiming like a somber farewell. Flinch begged Sienna to return the bag. She didn't even turn to face him. She hurled the bag into a tub of acid. A hiss of steam rose up, followed by a cruel laugh from her gang at the sight of Flinch's desperation. The coin splashes into the acid, dreams of Flinch dissolving right before his eyes. Sienna declares coldly, "For wasting my time and helping Lyra escape, your rewards is not finished. There is more." In the dead of night, Sienna signaled her gang towards Flinch's scrapyard. They had come for revenge, and they wouldn't leave until they had it. A unified force descended on Flinch's scrapyard. The only sound was the methodical scrape of their boots on the metal, a cold whisper of the violence to come. They advance, a dark wave against the junkyard's silent horizon. The scrapyard awaits, unaware of the storm about to break within its confines. In the skeletal embrace of the scrapyard, metal shrieks under brutal assault, scattering sparks like desperate stars. Flinch's belongings were tossed aside, each clatter an echo of loss in the desolate landscape. He watches helplessly as his business and aspirations crumble into oblivion. Dust and debris swirl around him, mirroring the disintegration of his dreams. Amidst the wreckage, Flinch's world collapses, leaving him adrift in a sea of shattered dreams. He had gambled on one chance to escape the slumps, a desperate move to trade his past for a clean future. He had betrayed his own, offering up knowledge about Lyra as a down payment on a new life. The moment the menacing coglords entered the scrapyard, Flinch knew his debt was due. The future he had gambled for was now coming to collect its price. Amidst the desolate street, Sienna's eyes narrowed into a furious glare. "If they won't give up Lyra," she growled, "I'm gonna turn the heat up until she has nowhere left to hide." The Coglord gang loomed silently beside her, imposing figure of menace. Sienna's gang stormed the streets. They trashed homes and terrorized families, but Lyra's network was always one step ahead. Around each street corner, a barricade of twisted metal would stop the Coglord's charge. They fell as their boots slid on spilled oil. The scrap automatons moved as a single, living organism. They impeded the Coglord's advance and transmitted Sienna's movements to Lyra in real time. After days of being outsmarted, Sienna changed tactics. Her gang captured a young child and his automaton. A silent alarm was sent out, one that Lyra would not ignore. Driven by compassion, she came out of hiding. She was no longer running. She was cornered. Lyra was surrounded on a vast, open platform high above the slumps. Sienna's gang arrested her in full view of the people to set an example. Kael stood apart, his data pad in hand. His focus was not the capture, but the intellectual enigma before him. He posed questions to Lyra, trying to understand her chip's logic. Lyra explained the chip's true nature. It was not a complex piece of engineering. It was designed to learn from its interaction with its user. It understands unique challenges and needs of each user, making it perfectly adaptable. Aethel Industries automatons were designed to be perfect. Lyra's were designed to be human. Sienna gave her ultimatum: hand over the chips, or her gang would smash every automaton in the slump. Lyra, knowing she could not win a physical fight, made a final choice. Using Kael's datapad, Lyra brought her scout automaton to life. She released a single encoded message using the vast digital pathways of Aethel Industries to spread her own message. Although Lyra was captured, but her rebellion was far from over. Her final message had spread through the automatons of the slumps. No longer independent machines, they were now a united force. The encoded Cascade Harmonic Override, or ECHO, did more than just spread. It unified the scrap automatons into a single living network with a self-learning consciousness. The ECHO had spread, turning Lyra's secret project into a full-scale digital rebellion that Sienna and Aethel Industries may never be able to suppress.